Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Manager Academy. I'm your host Omar, and today I just want to talk about what it means to actually lead when you're doing like an area or district manager role compared to say like a store manager or like a supervisory role. Okay, there are differences, and some of you guys going into a lot of these roles are always going to feel that you're stressed, especially since you might feel like the first week or two, okay, the leadership was like they're being okay, they're being on top. But week three, week four, you're getting bombarded with, hey, why are the numbers down? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? And you feel like a chicken with your head cut off. You don't know where the fuck to go, what to do. I get it. I understand what that can feel like. I'm here to tell you that you need to stop, slow it down, take a breather, and prioritize what you need to do. Now, if you think that, driving urgency, I know a lot of you guys love to use that fucking word. You want to drive urgency by, being mean, being micromanaging, right? And just like micromanaging the fuck out of your team and leadership, right? The ones that directly report to you. I'm here to tell you that that's not what that means. That's not what that looks like or how that works. All that does is one, it's going to stress the fuck out of your people because they're like, hey, the fuck am I doing if I'm already, if you're coming down on me, but we're overperforming on the metrics because you're obviously not looking at the metrics to see who you need to focus on. And two, it makes you reek of desperation because your team can tell that you're stressed. Okay. In that role, yes, it is going to be highly stressful. I get it. There's a lot more responsibility. There's not a lot that you will personally be able to do, but there's a lot more responsibility that falls on your shoulder because now the performance of those locations of that territory falls on your shoulders. But that's the problem. You're trying to work it as though you're a store manager or a supervisor role where you directly impact the results that those individual contributors are going to be doing. You can't do that when you're looking at multi uh, location roles where you're managing several locations, a larger territory. You have to learn how to delegate. And most importantly, you have to focus on the level of training your people are going to have. Remember, nobody ever rises to the occasion. They always will fall back to the level of training that they have, to that level of competency. But Omar, every so often, are like those people that really want to step up. They don't fucking step up. They just have the skills. And now they're showcasing that development that they've had, whether it's from you or somebody else, or they done separately. Okay. I'm like me myself, when I rose through the ranks, a lot of that was through development that I did outside of the organizations I belonged in because I wanted to improve what I was doing. You're not going to have a lot of individuals like that because they don't know what's available to them. I was lucky enough that I had different peers as well as mentors that I was able to see what they were doing and they were able to pass that along to me, right? Not everybody has that, and you need to understand that as a leader. You have to step in and be able to develop your people and help them train up so that they're always constantly ready for that. Now, training and developing, yes, that's an investment that takes time. But here's the thing, focus on the small incremental things that are going to lead to a direct outcome right away. I am telling you, 90% of your people fucking lose the sell at the fucking greet. Whoa, what does that mean? Because they didn't acknowledge him or the way that they greeted it. They were, apathetic. They're like, you're here, whatever type of situation. Instead of being like, hey, we'll be right with you, right? A small change in tone directly impacts how those clients and customers are going to feel. We want them to stick longer and stay around. They can see that we're fucking busy, but as long as we acknowledge them and they're saying like, hey, we're busy, we'll be right with you, we got you. Don't get them to try to help multiple people at once because that actually works against your people. It works against the customer because now the customer feels that they're not getting all the undivided attention. So they're going to feel rushed. So where they could have closed, 20 to 50% more on that ticket, we're losing that because they're dividing their attention among everybody else. Yeah, they might have had an okay interaction where they're not going to leave a bad survey if they do get that opportunity. But it also means that that customer understands like, hey, they're not giving me the full attention. So I just need to wrap this up so I can get going. But, that could have been an extra, appliance package. It could have been that dirty kitchen for that customer that's looking for a new kitchen, right? For a new home, move in, build, whatever. Okay. It could have been that extra addition to the home theater, whether to the home theater itself or to an outdoor patio system or to an additional room that they're wanting to do audio or something else in the house. For fucking wireless, it could have been going from, two lines to four, six plus, right? Or understanding and uncovering that, hey, they also have a business and they keep those two separate for whatever reason. They keep those two separate accounts, right? And it's with another company. So we could have brought that over. But now we missed it because we don't give, and we're not teaching our people to give that customer that undivided attention. Or they're answering the fucking phone while they're with that customer interaction. Once again, the customer in front of you is different, right? That industry is different than, say, a fast food industry where it doesn't matter. Yes, let's pick up and not lose that one. I get it. You should have something in place. Either hire a fucking receptionist if you get a shitload of calls and don't have the actual ability to have your people take care of the customers and have somebody do that, just hire a fucking receptionist, right? Or somebody at front desk, or use an AI automated system to take that inquiry and start scheduling something for them to come in. There's so much you can do in that respect, but it starts with you understanding that your people have to give those individuals that undivided attention. It goes down to that training. What type of level of training is your customer or your employees giving to your customer, right? What experience are they giving? Goes back to that level of training. You're fucking stressed out and don't know what to do because numbers are in the fucking toilet. But instead of trying to focus on, hey, this is what we're down, so this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to focus on, give me your 3 action items for this particular goal. How are you going to accomplish this if this is the focus that we want to get? That's what I'm talking about. That's why that 15-minute sales framework, that coaching framework, is super important. It gives you something to focus in and be hyper focused on to accomplish something. We don't need to focus on 10 different items. We need to focus on one goal and have those action items. Those action items are routines. We're breaking it down into, right, what Dr. Robert Cialdini has famously quoted as being the click word, right? Or Charles Duhigg calls the what Charles Duhigg calls the habit loop. That is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on, okay, when I hear this, this is what I'm going to do, and this is going to be the reward that I'm going to receive. That's what we're missing out on. We're not enabling our people to do that. It's a skill that we have to train them. Remember, guys, as much as you think that your sales roles are entry level, they're not. You're asking these people to come in and give you the same level of performance after 2 weeks that you get from your 5-year veterans. Your veterans have built up the skills and can perform at that level. Your new hires don't have that yet. And if they're coming from the same industry, from a different organization, you don't know what that level of skill truly looks like. So you have to spend some time with them, or you have to, as an area or district manager, have to teach your local leaders, your store managers, your assistant managers, your leads at those locations, what to look for so that they can help train and develop that up. Okay? Because we need to focus on those skill sets. And it doesn't take a lot, right? It just means sometimes pivoting what they already do or have been doing just a tiny bit so that they can see different results. Think of it as a fucking ship, right? You might think that, hey, a small degree, a 1% degree in change isn't a lot, but over time that course widens, right? That 1 degree difference is tremendous. That's why I always say focus on just getting 1% better. If you think that 1% better over a year is 365%, you're wrong because it's exponential. So you start to see a bigger lift. Training and development is super important, especially as you move up in roles. Doesn't matter if it's an area, a district, a regional, right? It matters a lot to ensure your people are trained and developed. That's why we have to focus on that. If you wonder why you have such a high churn rate and it's hard to maintain your people, it's because you're not focusing on training and development. You may have focused on the initial training, but you're not developing your people over time. And that's what we're missing. So people fall back to either old habits, and it's namely us as leaders. That is our fault. If you have less than a 70% retention rate at the 1 year mark, that is a huge red fucking flag, right? Meaning that you lose more than 30% of employees before they reach the 1 year mark, the 12-month mark with your organization. That is a huge red flag for you as an owner operator, or for you at a director level or higher. You need to investigate and see what the fuck are we missing, because it's costing us way more time, energy, and lost opportunity having to replace these people. Because even though, yes, we find them, it's still going to take us 6 to 12 weeks to train them up to the level of competency that we need. Well, I'm just going to look for people that already have the skill set that I need. Yeah, good luck with that. Because I get it. A lot of people, that's how they think. And then they're like, I don't understand what's wrong with people. They don't want to work. I can't find the people, yada, yada, yada. The people that have that level of competency that you're looking for are probably not looking at the pay grade that you're offering. And if they took it and then bounced before 12 months, is once again because of pay grade. They found something in the meantime until they found something else. And that's what you need to understand. You have to balance them. If you're bringing in people, train them up if they don't have the experience, and you will see that they will stay longer and they will be able to offer more to the organization, because they're going to give you feedback. They're going to give you additional insight from the field that you are not seeing by looking at the spreadsheets. I've always said this. The spreadsheets are like a guide, but it's not the answer. You cannot go off of the fucking spreadsheet. That is why big box retailers have such a fucking difficult time actually winning. Okay? Because all they care about is the stock price. So all they're trying to do is manipulate the stock price. That's why buybacks are such a fucking big thing right now. Because when numbers are down and they don't know any other way to manipulate the stock buyback is the answer. And that's what you need to understand. When we're talking about smaller organizations, privately owned organizations, that's not something that you're going to do. It is literally, what are we doing to improve the sales? And that goes down to our front lines. Our front lines is literally what keeps us going, what keeps us in business. So we have to make sure they're properly trained, they're properly developed. I want somebody there that wants to grow. And that means I need to develop them. I need to invest my time in making sure they're getting the training and the development that they need. I don't need to be wasting times on our energy investing in things that look like it's going to give me this big return, but is a big waste of time. And yes, I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of those 8-hour plus training sessions that you do over a weekend, because there's no way to actually truly implement all the information right afterwards. Right? If you're just doing it for a day or a weekend, that's not the way to do it. You're not going to retain all the information, and you're not going to be able to implement all the information that you're going over. But if you chunk it down to 15-minute sessions, right? 15, 30-minute coaching sessions, then that allows you to focus on one thing and see the results right away. So to your people, that means, oh shit, I can do this. I know how to do this. It's working. Or they can adjust in real time, like, okay, this isn't working. Let me try something different. But they're able to take that information and turn around and use it right away, which sticks because they're able to see the results of those actions. Remember, guys, your team isn't going to stick around with motivation. Motivation does not bring about results. But focusing on the action, the training that they do, once they see the results, they will become motivated to continue that habit over and over again. Whereas if you focus on motivating your people, you motivate them, you got all this rah, 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 but they don't have the actions to properly get what needs to be done, they're not seeing the results. So the action doesn't continue, it flounders, right? That's why you see sometimes a big lift when it's rah, 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 but then it dies down right away. Whereas if you focus on training and development, you may not see that big lift right away, but what you will see is not only a lift, but a consistency that grows. And most importantly, on the back end, right? And this goes to the operations, the directors, the owner operators. We see less churn on the back end. That means that shit is sticking. The customers are actually enjoying what they got. And that is the beauty of training and developing. Because once you get into those area roles, those district manager roles and above, it's not about the sales, guys. It's about what sticks. It doesn't matter that you sell, $1 million worth of something if, within the return period, 80% of that cancels, undelivers, or churns. I don't want that. Okay? And I don't know anybody else who does. So focus on training and developing. Grab that sales framework, coaching framework from the description. Start using it. Guys, I want to say thanks again for stepping into another episode here at Sales Manager Academy podcast. As always, I'm your host, Omar. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.